We rocking Too Legit to Quit, man, and this guy's Too Legit to Quit. That's why he's back with us, man. He's been rocking with us over the years, but he comes to us now, hailed out of Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville Courier, Columnist, man, and just knows so much about what's going on throughout the landscape of sports in general, but in particular the ACC. Welcome back to the Sports Shop, C.L. Brown. Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning, good people. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Too legit to quit.
Like you.
We too legit to quit. That's what it is.
I'm not going to front. I could listen to that song now, but back when it was actually out,
See?
You too, huh? You too.
Yeah. Back then, we were like, he didn't make that for us. We were too cool to listen to that. He was like, we didn't make that for us. It's like Will Smith and what was it? Summertime? Whatever one of those rap.
That was it.
Summer.
Back then we were like, man, Will Smith ain't no rapper. He ain't no rapper.
Yeah. Summertime. Anyway, hey, CL, thank you so much for doing this with us, man. I do. Before we get into some ACC stuff, I do want to remind me of the gentleman that won the silver medal from Louisville in the Olympics.
Well, there was a 1,500-meter runner, Yared Nuguse, won the bronze.
Oh, the bronze.
Won the bronze in the 1,500.
Okay, So and he was from Louisville, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought about
from Louisville, went to Notre Dame, and he was. I think it was fair to say he was expected to medal or at least be in contention for it.
Okay.
But it was the way he did it that kind of surprised people because he hadn't really been known for his kick. And him and the American who won the gold, both of them turned it on like in that last, about 150 meters.
And that's what it was, because the gentleman who won the gold, he came from out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you see this other guy who won the bronze. We're like, wow, that was crazy. So that was awesome. But let's get into it, man. So were you surprised that Florida State ended up being the preseason favorite for the ACC?
No, because a lot of it is based off of last year and how you finished, and basically Florida State passed Clemson in terms of the pecking order in the ACC last year. And we really haven't seen, Dabo make big changes in terms of how he brings players there. He still hasn't been active in the transfer portal. So, it's fair to assume that Clemson is maybe taking a step back in Florida State. Mike Norville has Florida State rising.
Wow.
That's awesome. We're talking to C.L. Brown. So looking at the predictions, who's your prediction as the sleeper? Somebody we're not talking about.
Oh, wow. That's a good question, Sam. I think probably the popular picks are Miami and NC State. But to me, both of those teams, for me personally, they got to prove it, because I feel like a lot of preseasons this time last year, we're talking about NC State.
Yep, sure was.
As a potential champion of the league and, top 10 kind of team. And they faded early last year. So in Miami, we do this every year. Like I'm tired of Miami. And I would like for them to be good because it is better for the league. It's really, it's great for college football when you have those traditional kind of powers. Yeah. And I don't even know if Miami could be called traditional because they started in the 80s in terms of really being on the national scene. But, it's always good when those teams are competing at the highest level. So I would like to see it happen, but until it actually does, then you can call me a hater or whatever. I'm in that category that I'm doubting.
Wow, there you go.
We're talking with C.L. Brown. C.L. Brown's joining us talking to ACC football. ACC football coming up in a week or so, in a couple of weeks actually. And, one of the questions I had, so now that we've had a chance to kind of be removed from ACC media days and all the hype and, all of the stuff that goes along with that, do we feel, then people like Paul Feinbaum and others who are, quote unquote, the mouthpiece for the SEC. And will the ACC actually have an opportunity to really, really legitimately return to the national stage this year?
Well, I think so. But again, it's one of those things where they have to prove it and prove it again. To me, the ACC was a better conference top to bottom last year than the SEC.
Yep.
And they proved it in those games early on, especially when Florida State beat LSU in the season opener last year.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the season, I felt like, there were some opportunities that ACC teams took advantage of, but it's going to take, you got to double that and double that again. Like it's not just, you can't just have a one-off and expect the narrative to change. So I think the conference has some depth to it in terms of, it's not just Clemson and Florida State at the top that are good, but, this conference has some depth. And I am kind of curious as to what SMU is going to bring to the league this year, because they were a sleeper team last year that I thought was a really good team. And, I think I picked them probably about 8 or 9 in the league, but I think that they could be a legitimate team too.
Oh, man. We're talking to C.L. Brown, the Louisville Courier journal columnist. And speaking of that, let's stay right there in Louisville. You covered, obviously, the Louisville Cardinals and the new head coach, and there's a lot of somewhat optimism in there. Give us a little snapshot on the Cardinals this year.
Yeah, I think the feeling is they could be better than they were last year. And last year was the first time they ever made the ACC championship game. But this team is a little bit better constructed, is a little bit more offensively speaking. It's more like how head coach Jeff Brom wants to play. Last year, Jake Plummer, who ironically, their quarterback from last year, is in competition to be the third string quarterback for the Panthers.
Yeah, I just saw him. I just saw him somewhere.
yeah. And let me tell you, I think people in Louisville are a little bit surprised by that, because he was inconsistent last year. Like, you could see flashes of him being really good, but then you'd see, play that wasn't so hot. And so their quarterback this year, Tyler Shuck, people in the area might remember his name because he initially committed to North Carolina out of high school, but this was when Larry Fedora was still head coach, because Shuck has been playing. This will be his 7th year.
I was getting ready to say Fedora was there like 10 years ago.
Shuck is married. He got married in the off season. He's official grown man territory, but he had injuries. They got the COVID waiver, so he's still here. Okay. And he has a stronger arm. He's a better downfield thrower than Jack Plummer was. So. It's going to give Louisville a lot more options offensively as long as they can keep him healthy.
Wow!
So they're feeling good, but the schedule is a lot tougher this year than it was last year. So they might actually be a better team with a worse record.
Interesting.
That's very interesting. We're talking to C.L. Brown, Louisville Courier. I'm going to switch up just a little bit. He's journalist extraordinaire, but he's also a new podcast live. I want you to tell us about what's coming up for you. We can't let you leave without you telling us what else you have going on.
I appreciate that plug, Pam.
I got you.
No, I do a weekly podcast. That's available on all channels wherever you get podcasts.
There you go.
It's just the CL Brown Show, and tomorrow will be the first time we go live. The Kentucky State Fair started up, and generally the Courier Journal, my newspaper, we have a booth at the fair that we pop in to work and stuff. So we just figured this year we'd do something a little different. So I'm going to have Peyton Siva as my guest, who was a former player. He was on their 2013 national championship team, their starting point guard. And this year he joined the basketball staff. He's on as a director of player development. So it'll be fun. I'm trying to take from the sports shop.
So
keep it moving.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep it moving. So you're gonna do this actually at the state fair, or are you gonna do it somewhere else?
Yes.
Oh.
No, it's going to be at the state fair.
Awesome.
Oh, wait. Why don't you ask him how they take an L? Did he play on that team that took an L in the TBT? Was he on that team?
Yes, he did play. He was kind of injured, and so he didn't you could tell, even given the quote unquote old man curve that they're all playing with in the TBT.
Exactly.
He was a shell of what he could have been.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I went to that game. They played the Kentucky alum basically. For a game in late July. It was 13,000 people. They set a record for the TBT tournament.
That's crazy.
Crazy environment. Yeah. It was crazy. And now the basketball wasn't at a high level. Like
it was bad basketball. Yeah,
but it was a fun environment to be in, and it really spoke to how deep that Louisville and Kentucky rivalry is.
Yeah, and I saw Chris Paul was there. It spoke to how the TBT is really taking off because they keep bringing those kind of rivalries back and those kind of different schools like that. Yeah, it's going to elevate the TBT. But it was a good watch just from an atmosphere perspective, but it wasn't good basketball though. It wasn't good basketball.
Yeah. They really do need to get some alumni teams around here.
You know what I was thinking about that?
In the triangle, yeah. I think that would be awesome.
All the Carolina guys, all the Duke guys, and some of the state guys. I mean, come on now.
Why it's got to be some of the state guys?
No, they don't have.
Why it's got to
they
be
don't
some
have
of
as
the
many.
state guys?
Just say NC State guys.
Right.
Because they state.
You only got to make a distinction. You don't have to set them apart, put them over there like that.
Watch this. Say less, kid, man. Say less. Anyway. Hey, CL, man. Good luck with your podcast, man. Appreciate you.
Best wishes.
Be with us the rest of the season. Go ahead.
CL, I'm looking at this coverage from the Belk Bowl 12 years ago. You're looking pretty young there, fella.
That's how Tar Heels roll.
For the Belk Bowl game back.
12 years ago.
Pull them up. That's how Tar Heels roll.
Clean up your social media, kid.
All right, CL, man. We'll talk to you next time. Take care, brother.
Have a great one.
All right. Appreciate y'all having me.
Well, you put it on the